everyone out there in the internet void. Long time no see. This video is just going to be a vlog about what's been going on with me health-wise, how my spiritual practice is helping me to get through it, and some plans I have for giving back to the pagan community in the near future. So you probably know that I had breast cancer back in 2022. I had a lumpectomy, chemo, and radiation at the time. I have a BRCA1 mutation, and with these mutations, a lot of women are pushed into getting a preventative double mastectomy as early as in their 20s. I took my chances with surveillance, which is alternating MRIs and mammograms every 6 months, which is how they found my cancer when it was still in stage 1. It was triple negative, which is one of the most aggressive kinds. So it was a good thing that they caught it so early. Anyway, now they found a precancerous lesion called atypical ductal hyperplasia on the other side, which from what I understand means that the cells are starting to look a little bit suspicious, but it hasn't quite grown large enough yet to be considered cancer. Normally, this condition is treated with just a lumpectomy, but since I'm BRCA1 positive and already had cancer, they have recommended a double mastectomy. I was initially against this, and this is honestly the thing that I've been most afraid of regarding cancer, hence why I opted for a lumpectomy before. But I guess that this is the best course of action for my personal circumstances, since doctors say that I'm going to keep getting more cancer and more precancers that will grow into real cancers eventually if I don't do the surgery right now. So it's best to do it while it's just precancer. Otherwise, there would probably be other treatments that I would need too, which would likely delay being able to get reconstruction. I know I'm being irrational or vain or whatever, but I don't think that I would have ever been able to do the mastectomy without having the option for immediate reconstruction. Just like I was leaning towards not doing chemo until I found out about cold capping. But don't judge if you've never been in the same shoes. If you are a cancer survivor who did all the things, you can judge a little. That's fine, I totally understand. It's just the normies who have no right to have an opinion about any of this. I'm going to do implant-based reconstruction. I originally thought that flap reconstruction, which is where they move fat from somewhere else in your body, usually your stomach, to reconstruct the breasts, would be the best option, since it's kind of like getting a 2-for-1 of getting rid of belly fat while also getting new boobs. Like, who hasn't wished that they could move their stomach fat to their boobs at some point, right? But it's a much more invasive and complex procedure than you'd think, so I'm going to go with silicone gel implant reconstruction. It just seems like a better option for me overall, even if it isn't the most natural. I'm probably going to go slightly bigger because if I have to go through all of this BS, I should at least get something nice out of it. I'll basically be like a real-life autistic Barbie. So trendy. The surgeon is going to see if direct to implant will work, otherwise I'll have expanders for a while. But either way, it shouldn't be as traumatic as if I had to wake up totally flat and wait for reconstruction. It was a really difficult decision to make, but all of the doctors and my husband were pushing me towards mastectomy. And when I went to my altar to pray to Inanna about all of this, she pushed me in that direction as well. She showed me a vision of a scene from the hymn Inanna and Ebih. In this story, the mountain Ebih disrespected Inanna, and so Inanna destroyed the entire mountain. Much like how my own mountain range has shown me no respect by allowing malignant cells to proliferate. So now I must destroy it before it has any more chances of destroying me. Except, whereas in the story, the mountain must never be restored, in my case, the mountains will be restored with 2 shiny new ziggurats. You know, because ziggurats are conceptualized as artificial mountains. It's a good metaphor. And my body is a temple after all. I'm probably the first person in the thousands of years since that hymn was written to come up with this particular interpretation. But literature, especially myths, are meant to be read and analyzed in infinite different ways. And the idea of a serious scholar getting upset over my silly boob-themed reading of this ancient text brings me great joy. I laughed so much when the vision equating Mount Ebih to boobs entered my head that it brought me right out of the depression that I had been in ever since I found out that I needed the surgery. To take the metaphor further, there are parts of the narrative that map nicely to the cancer treatments that I've already received. For example, we have the line, "I shall set fire to its thick forests. I shall take an axe to its evil doing. I shall make Gibel, the purifier, bare his holy teeth at its watercourses." Setting fire to the thick forests could be equated to radiation. Taking an axe to its evil doing sounds like cutting out a tumor during surgery. And making Gibel, the purifier, god of fire, bare his teeth at the watercourse sounds dissimilar to the process of chemo, in which burning chemicals are injected into the watercourses of your veins. I didn't make that connection to this story at the time of my original cancer treatments, but I did equate that whole experience to the descent myth and held on to that story as a source of strength throughout the whole thing. One of the great powers of myths and sacred storytelling is how they can be used to help you to get through difficult times and to feel less alone and less powerless in whatever situation you are going through. You can probably find a myth to help you to understand just about any situation. Like, it probably wouldn't take much of a stretch to read the story of Inanna and Ebih to represent any number of things that are happening right now. You could read the story as Ebih representing, say, insurance companies, or the IRS, or the entire system of late-stage capitalism in general, or even the entire Epstein class, with Inanna's reaction being what civilization as a whole should be doing about those things. Anyway, going back to my present circumstances, a line near the end of the Ebih narrative says, "I have built a palace and done much more. I have put a throne in place and made its foundation firm." It's a little bit unclear to me, but I think this line means that she built a palace and throne in the ruins of the destroyed mountain. So, though earlier it said that the mountain will not be restored, it implies that the site was rebuilt to suit Inanna's desires. In this case, a palace and a throne. She destroyed the threat against her and rebuilt something beautiful for her own enjoyment. Inanna and Ebih shows Inanna's power in instilling order from chaos, which is essentially what this preventative mastectomy is about. Removing the chaos of randomly mutating cells that could potentially grow unchecked and eventually destroy the rest of my body, and replacing it with orderly silicone implants, which should hopefully still look nice, but not be subjected to the chaos of the natural processes of my mutation. I know, I'm all about nature, so you would think that I wouldn't want man-made materials in my body. That's not very nature-loving hippie of me. I can see why some women choose either the tissue grafting options or no reconstruction at all. I've weighed all the options and decided that implant-based reconstruction is the best option for me. It's the least invasive option that still lets me maintain more or less my original body appearance. The gods did give humans the knowledge to develop medical technology as part of the gifts of civilization. And anyway, silicone is derived from silica, which is naturally occurring. And as Love and Rocket said, you cannot go against nature, because when you do go against nature, it's part of nature too. Humanity exists as a sacred balance between nature and technology. Because my spiritual practice has been the main thing that has kept me going throughout all of this cancer stuff, I've been thinking a lot about trying to facilitate some kind of pagan-based spiritual support for other people on similar paths who are going through cancer as well, as part of my ministry work. I've connected with a few Jewish and Christian organizations that do great work in supporting people with cancer, but I'd like to make this kind of support available within our own spiritual community as well. I've been kicking around the idea of starting some kind of support group, or maybe a healing circle for cancer patients and survivors. I want to help other people like me to connect with each other, with the gods, and with nature as part of our healing journey. I'd be open to doing something online via Zoom or in person or both. If there is interest for in-person support, I'd like to put together special forest bathing sessions, especially for people affected by cancer, since spending time in nature has been shown to promote physical, emotional, and spiritual healing. What all of this would look like exactly would depend on what participants want or need. So if this sounds like something that you would be interested in, please reach out to me. I just want to help other people who are going through this difficult journey to find support through building community and strengthening or building their spiritual practice. In addition to support groups and mindfulness practices, I also have some ideas for workshops that I think would be helpful. One would be on helping patients to navigate the world of spiritual and alternative healing as it relates to cancer care. Basically, it would be teaching patients how to use discernment in evaluating complementary healing practices and so-called spiritual healers to make more informed choices in their care, so that you don't fall victim to snake oil salesmen who are preying on your vulnerability. Another workshop that I'd like to put together would be on sacred sexuality for cancer survivors. I would give tips on how to regain confidence in your sexuality after cancer treatments, as well as how to incorporate sexuality into your spiritual practice. It's kind of a holistic approach to regaining a sense of connection to your body. I mean, that's something I'm still going to need to work on myself, especially after this surgery, but I think it's something that is important but often overlooked in cancer care. And who better to start tackling this issue than a priestess of Inanna? I would be offering these kind of support groups and workshops for free to keep them accessible to the people who need them the most, since I know firsthand how the US medical system financially abuses people with major health issues. To raise money to make these kinds of things possible, and honestly, to pay off some of my own medical debt, I'm also going to be offering a variety of products and services as part of my ministry work. I'm starting with digital items, including guided meditations, printable tarot spreads, and pagan-related crochet patterns. I currently have crochet patterns for my Star of Inanna and moon charms. Let's see them right here. A recording of the guided meditation I did as part of my Ishtar Fest presentation last year. and a simple tarot spread to tap into the energies of heaven, earth, and the underworld. Available on my Ko-fi shop for a donation of whatever you are able to give. I set up an LLC for my ministry work already, though I've been a bit slow in getting the wheels turning. Since I'm going to be forced to take a break from normal employment for probably a couple months at least, I should have plenty of time to work on the business aspects. My business is called A Neon Key LLC. A means temple in Sumerian. Ni can mean a few different things, including self or a sense of divine awe, the feeling you get when in the presence of a deity. An is heaven and Ki is earth. An Ki can also mean universe. So A Neon Ki can mean something like temple of the self, heaven, and earth, or temple of awe of the universe. I meant for the name to evoke a sense of unity between the seeker and heaven and earth, as well as a sense of awe of the divine and nature. Once I am recovered from the surgery, I will be available to perform rituals and ceremonies in Northeast Ohio, including weddings. In addition to the actual ordination from Greenwild, which I've mentioned in other videos, I am now also ordained by the Church of Nome, which is a technically legally recognized church that bills itself as not a cult, and which will legally recognize anyone who joins as a minister. So I can perform normal, serious spiritual wedding and hand fasting ceremonies, but also silly, whimsical, gnome-themed ceremonies if that is your preference. I can also perform other customized ceremonies and rituals. Just reach out. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Ko-fi. Anyway, I just wanted to post this update before my surgery to document my thoughts and experiences. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you feel so inclined, and I'll see you next time.